Hi, my name is Billy Dragoo. I'm from Stephen F. Austin High School in Austin, Texas, and today I will be teaching a short lesson on creating a dynamic monologue. Specifically, what we want to look at is how you can earn the role you want by having a monologue that draws attention to your talent. So this short lesson is called Creating a Monologue from Dialogue. The focus is on making a 1-minute audition monologue. The objectives, the purpose, the reason we're doing this is because I'm tired of sitting through bad auditions and I want students to learn to be a better auditioner. The definition of a monologue, as most of you know, is a short speech in which only one person speaks. And I'm going to show you how to create one of those instead of searching for a long passage of uninterrupted text in a play. Most conversations are simply monologues delivered in the presence of a witness. That's a quote from Margaret Miller. So let's talk about what makes a good monologue. I think there are 5 things that make a good monologue. 1, it must be active. Now, some of you go out there and you find monologues in books. And yes, they're a monologue, but they're not good because they're a memory. You want something that is in the here and now. That's called being active. You want a monologue that shows your ability. You want a monologue that's about a minute in length. You want it to be from a published play. And you want it to allow you to show more than just a single emotion. Why create your own monologue? Well, because as I've said, many monologues you find in books like 23 Monologues for the Young Actor, or if you're simply flipping through plays looking for long uninterrupted passages of text, those are often not active. They are a memory, for instance, or they're a soliloquy, your inner thoughts. By creating your own, you guarantee it to be active, and you give the auditioners a chance to see you truly react to the other unseen character. So how do you do this? Well, the first thing you do is you find a published play script that you like. Please read the whole script. After you find a script that you like, you find a character that you're interested in playing. Then you choose a favorite scene. And then what you do is you read aloud only the dialogue of that character. So if it's a dialogue between Bob and Joaquin, you read Joaquin's line, skipping Bob's. And eventually what will happen is you will come to a point where Joaquin's line makes no sense because the information given by Bob in the previous line has been omitted. So what you do in that case is you write a bridge to close the logic gap. Here's an example from The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. We will be looking at 2 monologues, one that was created for the character of Jack, the other one created for someone to play Lady Bracknell. So let's just read this. Clearly I'm going to have to read both parts. So, well, I own a house in Belgrave Square, but it is let by the year to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back whenever I like at 6 months' notice. Lady Bloxham? I don't know her. Oh, she goes about very little. She's a lady considerably advanced in years. Nowadays that is no guarantee of respectability of character. What number in Belgrave Square? 149. The unfashionable side. I thought there was something. However, that could easily be altered. Do you mean the fashion or the side? Both, if necessary, I presume. What are your politics? Well, I'm afraid I really have none. I'm a liberal unionist. Oh, they count as Tories. They dine with us, or come in the evening at any rate. Now, to minor matters. Are your parents living? I have lost both my parents. To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? He was evidently a man of some wealth. Was he born in what the radical papers call the purple of commerce, or did he rise from the ranks of aristocracy? I'm afraid I really don't know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I had lost my parents. It would be nearer the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. I don't actually know who I am by birth. I was found. Found! The late Thomas Cardew, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort. Where did the charitable gentleman who had a first-class ticket for this seaside resort find you? In a handbag. A handbag? Yes, Lady Bracknell. I was in a handbag, a somewhat large black leather handbag with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact. So, if you were to go and try to turn that into Jack's monologue, here is what would happen. If you read, as the instructions told you to, just Jack's lines, it would sound like this. Well, I own a house in Belgrave Square, but it is let by the year to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back whenever I like at 6 months' notice. Oh, she goes about very little. She is a lady considerably advanced in years. Now, that makes no sense because there's no preceding reference before the word she. We don't know who she is, right? So you build a bridge to correct the gap in that logic by writing something like, of course I can get it back whenever I like at 6 months' notice. You don't know Lady Bloxham. She goes about very little. That would be one way you could do it, okay? Going on, it might say 149. Well, I'm afraid I have none. I'm a liberal unionist. So clearly that makes no sense because she hasn't asked him what his politics are. You have to learn to link dialogue together. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can see from the next page what I mean. So from that dialogue, you might get this if you were to create a monologue for the character Jack. Well, I own a house in Belgrave Square, but it is let by the year to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back whenever I like at 6 months' notice. You know her? Oh, she goes about very little. She is a lady considerably advanced in years. Nowadays, that's no guarantee of respectability of character. She is at 149 Belgrave Square. You may think that that is the unfashionable side. My politics? Well, I'm afraid I really have none. I'm a liberal unionist, and I've lost both my parents. You may think that to lose one parent may be regarded as misfortune, and to lose both looks like carelessness, but the truth is that my parents lost me. Who was my father? I'm afraid I really don't know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I'd lost my parents. It would be nearer the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. I don't actually know who I am by birth. I was found. Yes, found. The late Thomas Cardew, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort. My parents found me in a handbag. Yes, Lady Bracknell, I was in a handbag, a somewhat large black leather handbag with handles to it, an ordinary handbag, in fact. Now, if you were going to make that dialogue into one for Lady Bracknell, it might sound something like this. Lady Bloxham? I don't know her. What number in Belgrave Square? 149. The unfashionable side. I thought there was something. What are your politics? Liberal Unionist? Oh, they count as Tories. They dine with us. Or come in the evening at any rate. Now to minor matters. Are your parents living? Lost both your parents? To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? Found. He must have been a gentleman of very charitable and kindly disposition to give you the name of Worthing. Where did this charitable gentleman find you? A handbag? What? You were found in a somewhat large, black, rather ordinary handbag? Mr. Worthing, I confess I feel somewhat bewildered by what you have told me. To be born, or at any rate bred in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to display a contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life that reminds one of the worst excesses of the French Revolution. And I presume you know what that unfortunate movement led to. As for the particular locality in which the handbag was found, a cloakroom at a railway station might serve to conceal a social indiscretion, has probably, indeed, been used for that purpose before now, but it could hardly be regarded as an assured basis for a recognized position in good society. I would strongly advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as soon as possible, and to make a definite effort to produce at any rate one parent of either sex before the season is quite over. Now, I'm not an actor. Please, those were not examples of good acting. I was just trying to read them with some energy. But what they are an example of is someone who took dialogue and by creating bridges in the logic gaps, made them into a monologue. And it's a monologue that's in the here and now. It is a man pleading that he doesn't know his past to a woman whose relative he is interested in dating. Or for the woman, it's a woman who wants to make sure that this gentleman who is in favor of one of her relatives is suitable because of the times, right, and his past. They need to be able to make a match. So it's not a memory piece. It's something that's happening right now with the goal that is achievable. So let's review. 5 things that make a good monologue. It's active. It shows your ability. It's a minute long. Now, I did not time those, so I don't know if they're a minute. If they're over a minute, then you would simply edit them. And of course, that will depend on how you play the scene as well. It has to be from a published play. It allows you to show range of emotion. And it allows for moments where the audience can tell that you are reacting. So, now you have the skills to create your own monologue for your next audition. Remember, students, to always audition by giving your name, the title of the piece, and the character, and the name of the playwright. It's important that we give credit where credit is due. To that end, I'd like to say that this lesson comes from a book I read, a very helpful book called The Perfect Monologue. You can find it at bookstores, and it is by Ginger Howard Friedman. I hope this was helpful, and best of luck to you as you go out for your next audition.